And today, I'm going to tell you the truth behind these discoveries that appear on no map. Throughout this video, we'll delve into Antarctica's darkest secrets, perhaps opening doors that humanity was never meant to know about. Imagine yourself standing on the edge of a frozen precipice, where the wind wails like ancient spirits, echoing in eternity, and the ice stretches into a darkness that feels almost alive beyond the horizon. The air itself whispers secrets, seeming to carry voices from long past ages, while the aurora australis dances overhead like spiritual guardians, watching over forbidden knowledge. This is Antarctica, the world's coldest, most remote, most mysterious lands. But what if everything you've been told is a lie? What if this isn't just an ice desert, but also the silent guardian of secrets that predate human history? Don't forget to subscribe, so you won't miss our videos that uncover these hidden truths. Because what I'm about to tell you today is just the beginning. Twice the size of Australia, larger than all of Europe, containing 90% of the world's ice, Antarctica is not a void, but a veil. Beneath its glaciers kilometers thick, beneath the crushing silence that seems to press upon your soul, lie riddles that could overturn everything we think we know. Unnatural structures jutting from the ice, like monuments to forgotten gods. Impossible maps showing lands no human should know. And legends of civilizations lost, or perhaps never found. Some whisper not of ancient peoples, but of others who may have come from the stars, leaving their traces in stone and ice before vanishing into the cosmic void. And if you watch this video to the end, you'll understand why these discoveries have been kept secret. If these revelations surprised you too, show your support by hitting the like button and share in the comments which theory about Antarctica seems most logical to you. Why does this land, so far from everything we know, feel like a tomb sealed by time itself? The very atmosphere seems heavy with untold stories, where each gust of polar wind carries fragments of mysteries that dance just beyond our understanding. For centuries, it was a ghostly outline on old maritime charts, a myth murmured by sailors who never reached its icy shores. Their vessels turned back by walls of ice that seemed to rise from the depths like ancient fortifications. Even today, with satellites scanning every corner of the globe, Antarctica remains a blind spot, a kingdom of ice, untouched, unyielding, and profoundly mysterious. Its interior spans millions of square kilometers, locked behind walls of storm and cold that rage with a fury unmatched anywhere else on Earth. The temperatures plunge to depths that can freeze human breath in seconds, where the very air becomes a crystalline mist that obscures vision and muffles sound. But as radar and aerial imaging have dared to peer deeper into this frozen realm, shadows have begun to take shape. Mountains carved like pyramids with mathematical precision that defies natural formation. Doorways etched into cliffs that seem to beckon toward unknown chambers. Tracks in the snow that suggest movement, intelligent, deliberate movement that follows patterns no animal would make. These discoveries raise questions our science can't easily answer, questions that seem to challenge the very foundations of what we believe about our planet's history. Is Antarctica hiding the shattered remains of a forgotten world, its ruins preserved in ice like artifacts in the world's largest museum? Or something far stranger, evidence of visitors from realms beyond our understanding, beings who walked this earth when it was young and green? What makes this continent so compelling isn't just its desolation, it's its refusal to be understood, its ability to keep secrets in plain sight. International treaties lock it away, limiting access to a select few, creating barriers that seem almost deliberately designed to keep the curious at bay. Vast regions are off limits, even to researchers who have dedicated their lives to polar science. Why the secrecy? What lies beneath the ice that demands such control, such careful orchestration of who may venture into its depths? Some speak of hidden bases, where experiments too wild for the world above unfold in silence, laboratories carved from ice, where scientists probe mysteries that could reshape our understanding of reality itself. Others point to ancient maps, like the Piri Reis chart from 1513, that seem to show Antarctica free of ice, as if drawn by a civilization with knowledge we can't fathom. Knowledge that perhaps came from sources not of this world. And then there are the story tales of unseen presences in the snow, creatures lurking in the deep waters that surround the continent, and encounters that challenge reality itself, experiences that leave witnesses questioning everything they thought they knew about the natural world. Tonight, I'm Professor Vega, your guide through the labyrinth of mystery history for sleep, and we're diving into the heart of this frozen enigma. We'll uncover the truth behind formations that look too perfect to be natural, structures that seem to mock our understanding of geological processes. We'll explore the chilling accounts of explorers who felt watched in the endless white, men and women of science, who returned from the ice with stories they dare not tell in academic circles, their experiences relegated to whispered conversations in the shadows of research stations. We'll probe the science that reveals a very different Antarctica, one of ancient forests where giant trees once swayed in polar winds, hidden lakes teeming with life forms that seem almost alien in their adaptation to conditions of perpetual darkness and crushing pressure. We'll ask whether the whispers of advanced technologies, lost cities buried beneath miles of ice, or even extraterrestrial visitors could hold a shred of truth. Each step will pull us deeper into a land where silence speaks louder than words, where the absence of sound itself becomes a presence that follows you across the endless white. As we begin our journey, prepare to be captivated by a discovery that has stunned the world, a finding that challenges everything we thought we knew about this continent's past. A mountain in the Ellsworth Range, rising from the ice with the uncanny shape of a pyramid, its sharp edges in perfect symmetry begging the questions. Is this a trick of nature sculpted by eons of wind and frost? Or a monument from a time we've forgotten, a testament to intelligence that walked this earth before history began? Some argue this points to a shared architectural knowledge, a common source of wisdom, perhaps passed down from a single ancient source, a civilization that could have reached even the southernmost edge of the world, exploring and building when Antarctica was a green land under warmer skies. The implications are staggering. If such a civilization existed, what other knowledge did they possess? What technologies did they develop? What wisdom was lost when the ice claimed their world? The Bosnian pyramids, a controversial discovery in Eastern Europe that has sparked heated debates in archaeological circles, fuel this speculation with their enigmatic presence. There, some claim that large hills hide stepped pyramids from a prehistoric era, their smooth slopes and aligned corners suggesting human design rather than natural formation. The controversy surrounding these structures reflects the broader challenge that unconventional discoveries pose to established thinking. Mainstream archaeologists dismiss these claims with the kind of institutional certainty that has characterized academic thinking for generations. But the parallels with Antarctica are striking and cannot be easily ignored. The geometric precision, the alignment with cardinal directions, the massive scale, all of these elements repeat across continents and cultures in ways that suggest connections deeper than conventional history acknowledges. Satellite imagery of the Ellsworth Range, captured by technology that can reveal details invisible to the human eye, reveals more than just one pyramid-like formation, standing in solitary mystery. Scattered across the region, like pieces of some vast architectural plan, are other peaks and ridges, some with square bases that seem too regular to be natural, others with symmetrical lines that create patterns buried beneath layers of snow and ice that have accumulated over countless centuries. Could these be part of a larger complex, a city of pyramids lost to time and buried beneath the greatest ice sheet on Earth? The idea is tantalizing, especially when you consider the sheer inaccessibility of the region. The way Antarctica's ice sheet, over a mile thick in places, hides most of its secrets from view, like a white shroud drawn over the face of history. Harsh weather that can kill unprepared explorers in minutes, international regulations that limit access with the force of law, and the simple logistics of mounting expeditions to such a remote location make large-scale exploration nearly impossible. This leaves these formations as enigmas glimpsed only from above, their secrets locked away beneath tons of ice that may take centuries to reveal their treasures. But there's another layer to this mystery, one that ties the Antarctic pyramid to a document from centuries past, a connection that spans time and challenges our understanding of what ancient civilizations knew about the world. The Piri-Reis map, drawn in 1513 by an Ottoman cartographer whose skill and knowledge seemed to exceed what should have been possible in his era, is a marvel of early geography that continues to puzzle historians and geographers to this day. This ancient chart depicts South America with startling accuracy for its time, capturing details that European explorers would not fully document for decades to come. More astonishingly, it includes a southern landmass that resembles Antarctica's true coastline, not as the ice-covered continent we know today, but as it might have looked millions of years ago, free of its frozen shell, when green forests covered its surface and rivers flowed to the sea. Historian Charles Hapgood, working in the revolutionary atmosphere of the 1960s, when many established ideas were being questioned and re-evaluated, proposed a radical theory that challenged conventional understanding of ancient civilizations. The Piri-Reis map, he argued, was compiled from far older sources, possibly from a seafaring civilization that mapped the world thousands of years before recorded history began, when the knowledge we take for granted was considered miraculous. Could such a civilization have built structures in Antarctica, leaving behind the pyramid we see today as a testament to their presence? Hapgood's ideas, though dismissed by many academics who prefer the safety of established theories, resonate with those who see the Antarctic pyramid as more than a natural oddity, more than a mere coincidence of geology and weather. If the continent was once ice-free, as geological evidence increasingly suggests through the discovery of fossilized plants and evidence of ancient climate conditions, it could have been habitable long before modern humans emerged to walk the Earth. Fossils of ancient forests found in places like the Beardmore Glacier prove beyond doubt that Antarctica was once a lush, temperate land where life thrived under skies that knew no ice. Could an advanced society have flourished here, constructing monuments that rival those of other ancient cultures, building structures that served purposes we can only guess at? The pyramid's alignment and structure hint at a purpose beyond mere chance, beyond the random works of wind and weather. Perhaps it served as a temple where ancient peoples communed with forces beyond their understanding, a marker that pointed toward astronomical alignments crucial to their civilization, or even an observatory built to harness the power of the stars in a world without the interference of ice and snow. Yet the mystery deepens with more recent discoveries that continue to emerge from this frozen realm. In 2023, satellite images captured by the most advanced orbital technology available revealed additional anomalies in the Ellsworth Range, formations that defy easy explanation through conventional geological processes. Ridges that form near-perfect grids stretch across the landscape like the foundations of some vast complex, and shapes that resemble buried walls or foundations create patterns that seem too organized to be the work of natural forces alone. These findings, though unverified by ground expeditions that would require massive resources and international cooperation, have fueled speculation of a hidden city beneath the ice, its outlines only now emerging as the climate shifts and reveals secrets that have been locked away for millennia. The implications are staggering. If these are indeed artificial structures, they would represent one of the greatest archaeological discoveries in human history. Some theorists go even further into realms that challenge our understanding of reality itself, suggesting the pyramid is not just a relic of human civilization, but a marker left by an extraterrestrial presence that visited Earth in our planet's distant past. The precision of its design, they argue with passionate conviction, mirrors structures found in ancient sites, rumored to have otherworldly origins. The precise lines of the Nazca Plains in Peru, the massive stones of Stonehenge, arranged with astronomical precision, the impossible architecture of sites around the world that seem to require knowledge and capabilities beyond what we attribute to ancient peoples. Could the pyramid be a beacon, a signal left by visitors who once walked this frozen land when it was green and welcoming? The idea ventures into territory that makes conventional scientists uncomfortable, but the questions it raises refuse to be easily dismissed. If extraterrestrial visitors did indeed come to Earth in ancient times, as a growing number of researchers suggest, Antarctica would have been an ideal location for their activities, remote, isolated, and eventually hidden beneath ice that would preserve any evidence they might have left behind. Skeptics counter these exotic theories with the measured tones of scientific reasoning, insisting that these ideas stretch beyond the bounds of reasonable speculation. The Antarctic pyramid, they maintain with the confidence of those trained in conventional thinking, is a natural formation, its symmetry a coincidence born of geological processes that we may not fully understand, but that operate according to known laws of physics and chemistry. The additional structures seen in satellite images, they argue, could be artifacts of digital distortion, glitches in the imaging process that create false patterns, or simply the play of light and shadow on the ice, creating illusions that fool the eye and excite the imagination. Technology, for all its sophistication, is not infallible, and the harsh conditions of Antarctica can create optical effects that defy explanation. As for the Piri-Reis map, mainstream scholars argue with the weight of academic authority that it depicts a hypothetical southern continent, not Antarctica itself, based on ancient myths of Terra Australis, rather than lost knowledge or extraterrestrial guidance. The accuracy of the map, while puzzling, can be explained through the careful compilation of information from various sources available to Ottoman cartographers of the time. Yet even these skeptics admit, in moments of honest reflection, that the map's accuracy is puzzling and that the pyramid's perfect form remains a challenge to explain fully through conventional means. The mathematical precision of its angles, the perfect alignment of its faces, the way it rises from the ice, like a monument to some unknown purpose, all of these elements resist easy categorization within the comfortable boundaries of accepted explanation. What makes this formation so compelling is its context within Antarctica's broader tapestry of mysteries. Antarctica is not just remote, it's a place where the rules of the world seem to bend, where the ordinary becomes extraordinary through the simple act of existing in this most unlikely of environments. The continent's isolation, its restricted access controlled by international treaty, and its history of strange discoveries create a backdrop where the impossible feels plausible, where questions that would be dismissed elsewhere demand serious consideration. As we stand on the edge of this mystery, gazing up at the pyramid that rises from the ice, like a finger pointing toward questions we may never answer, one question lingers in the cold air, like breath made visible by Antarctic chill. If this pyramid is not a natural fluke, not a coincidence of geology and weather, what else lies hidden beneath the ice? Could there be more structures waiting to be discovered, more clues to be uncovered as the glaciers retreat and reveal landscapes that have been hidden for millions of years? This question carries us forward, deeper into Antarctica's enigma, like travelers following a map toward unknown territories. The pyramid in the Ellsworth Mountains is just the beginning, a single piece of a larger puzzle that may reshape our understanding of human history and our place in the universe. What if the continent holds not just ancient ruins, but evidence of encounters that go beyond our current understanding of what is possible? Our next chapter takes us to one of the strangest episodes in Antarctic history, a massive military expedition that has become legend in the annals of polar exploration. Operation High Jump, led by the legendary Admiral Richard E. Byrd, was shrouded in rumors of hidden bases, advanced technology, and encounters that challenged the very foundations of reality. Was it a simple mapping mission, or did Byrd stumble upon something that changed the course of history and influenced the way we think about this frozen continent? The year is 1946. And the world is still reeling from the chaos and destruction of World War II, still struggling to comprehend the scale of horror that humanity had unleashed upon itself. In this fragile moment of uneasy peace, when nations were trying to rebuild their shattered societies and forge new paths forward, the United States launches an expedition unlike any before it. a massive naval operation to the frozen south that would dwarf all previous attempts to explore the Antarctic continent, cloaked in secrecy that would fuel speculation for decades to come, and surrounded by an atmosphere of mystery that seems to intensify rather than diminish with the passage of time. The mission, known as Operation High Jump, was led by the legendary polar explorer, Admiral Richard E. Byrd, a man whose name would become synonymous with Antarctica's strangest tales and most enduring mysteries. Officially, it was presented to the public as a mission to map the continent's vast unexplored regions and test military equipment under the extreme conditions that only Antarctica could provide. But its unprecedented scale, its abrupt and unexplained conclusion, and the whispers of a secret diary that allegedly documented encounters beyond imagination have fueled a question that lingers to this day, like smoke in the polar air. Did Byrd uncover something in the ice that the world wasn't ready to know? Did his expedition encounter evidence of civilizations, technologies, or beings that would challenge everything humanity believed about its place in the universe? Operation High Jump was a spectacle of ambition that reflected the military might of a nation emerging as a global superpower. Launched in December 1946, in the harsh Antarctic summer, when temperatures were merely brutally cold rather than utterly lethal. It involved over 4,700 men, more personnel than many small nations could muster, 13 ships, representing the most advanced naval technology of the era, and dozens of aircraft, including helicopters and seaplanes, that pushed the boundaries of what was considered possible in polar aviation. This was no small scientific outing, organized by universities and research institutions. It was the largest Antarctic expedition in history, organized with military precision and funded at a level that suggested purposes far beyond simple geographical curiosity. The expedition was mounted just months after the war's end, when resources were scarce and nations were focused on reconstruction rather than exploration, making its scale all the more remarkable and suspicious. The fleet was divided into 3 groups: Eastern, Western, and Central, each tasked with surveying vast swaths of the continent that had never been properly mapped or explored. Led by Rear Admiral Richard H. Cruzen, with Byrd serving as the public face and spiritual leader of the mission, the expedition established a base called Little America FUV on the Ross Ice Shelf, a temporary city on the ice that represented one of the most ambitious construction projects ever attempted in polar regions. From this base, aircraft soared over the ice in formations that impressed even veteran military pilots, capturing photographs that would map more than 1.5 million square miles of Antarctica's uncharted terrain. The scope of the aerial survey was staggering, covering areas larger than many countries and revealing landscapes that no human eye had ever seen. The official goal, as stated in military briefings and press releases, was clear: to expand geographical knowledge, train naval personnel in polar conditions that might prove crucial in future conflicts, and assert America's presence in a region of growing global interest. But the sheer size of the operation raised eyebrows among those who paid attention to such things. Why send such a massive force to a place so remote, so apparently empty of strategic value, so soon after a global conflict that had drained national resources and left the world exhausted? The Cold War was dawning like a new winter, and tensions with the Soviet Union were mounting daily as former allies found themselves facing each other across ideological divides that seemed unbridgeable. Some observers saw Operation High Jump as a strategic move in this emerging conflict, a way to stake a claim in a continent rich with untapped resources and potential military significance. The possibility of Antarctic bases, of mineral wealth locked beneath the ice, of strategic positions that could influence global politics. All of these factors could have justified such a massive expenditure of resources and personnel. Yet others sensed a deeper purpose, one hidden beneath the official reports and press conferences, something that the government was reluctant to discuss in public. The mission's abrupt end in March 1947, cutting short what was supposed to be a longer expedition, only deepened the mystery that surrounded every aspect of Operation High Jump. Official records cited harsh weather and logistical challenges as the reasons for the early departure, but those familiar with polar expeditions knew that such conditions were expected and planned for. Rumors swirled through military circles and civilian populations alike, stories of damaged aircraft that returned to base with unexplained mechanical failures, unexplained losses of personnel that were never fully accounted for in official reports, and encounters that defied conventional explanation and challenged the very foundations of what military personnel thought they knew about the world. Among the most persistent stories, tales that would grow in the telling and take on lives of their own, was the idea that Operation High Jump was not just about mapping and military training, but about investigating a hidden threat that posed dangers to American security and possibly to the stability of the entire post-war world. Some theorists, drawing connections that mainstream historians dismissed, suggested this threat was linked to the defeated Nazi regime and the possibility that elements of Hitler's government had escaped to establish hidden bases in the most remote corners of the Earth. The shadow of Nazi Germany looms large over Antarctica's lore, a dark presence that seems to influence every discussion of the continent's mysteries. Just 8 years earlier, in 1938, the Third Reich had sent its own expedition to the continent, claiming a vast region that they named New Schwabenland in honor of the ship that carried them to these frozen shores. That mission, aboard the vessel MS Schwabenland, had mapped 600,000 square kilometers of previously unexplored territory and dropped swastika-marked darts to assert territorial rights with the kind of symbolic gesture that characterized Nazi ambitions. After Germany's surrender in 1945, strange events fueled speculation about the ultimate fate of Nazi leadership and technology. 2 German submarines, U-530 and U-977, appeared unexpectedly off Argentina's coast. In the months following the war's end, their commanders offering vague explanations for their long journeys through the South Atlantic that satisfied no one who heard them. The timing of their arrival, the secrecy surrounding their missions, and the possibility that they might have carried high-ranking Nazis or secret cargo to hidden destinations created an atmosphere of suspicion and speculation. Some theorists claimed these submarines had delivered Nazi leadership, advanced technology, or crucial scientific data to a hidden base in Antarctica, last refuge for a regime that refused to accept defeat and was determined to continue its work in secret. Could Operation High Jump have been America's response to this rumored stronghold, a mission to root out a Nazi presence that was still active beneath the ice, still working on projects that could threaten the emerging post-war order? This idea, though dismissed by mainstream historians who preferred documented evidence to speculation, gained traction in the post-war years when the world was gripped by paranoia about hidden enemies and secret weapons. The possibility that Nazi scientists were continuing their work in hidden laboratories, developing technologies that could change the balance of power, seemed plausible to minds still reeling from the revelations of what the Third Reich had accomplished in secret during the war years. But the most extraordinary tale from Operation High Jump ventures far beyond the realm of geopolitics and into territories that challenge our understanding of reality itself. In the 1960s, during an era when many established ideas were being questioned and alternative explanations were gaining serious consideration, a document surfaced that purported to be a secret diary kept by Admiral Byrd himself during the expedition. This so-called lost diary describes an experience that sounds like science fiction, a reconnaissance flight that led Byrd into a hidden world that existed beneath the ice, like some vast underground realm waiting to be discovered. According to this account, while flying over the Antarctic interior in conditions that should have been routine for such an experienced aviator, Byrd's aircraft was overtaken by strange forces that seemed to operate outside the laws of physics as he understood them. His instruments, which had functioned perfectly throughout his career, began to fail in ways that made no sense to his trained mind. His radio crackled with static that seemed to carry voices speaking in languages he couldn't identify. Most unnervingly, he found himself losing control of his aircraft as it was guided against his will toward a destination he hadn't chosen. Pulled by forces he couldn't see or understand toward a temperate valley where ice should have been the only landscape for hundreds of miles in any direction. In this hidden valley, according to the diary's breathtaking account, Bird claimed to have landed in a lush green oasis that defied the frozen reality of Antarctica, a place where plants grew and waters flowed, as if the Ice Age had never touched this secret realm. The temperature was warm, the air was fresh, and the landscape was alive in ways that should have been impossible so close to the South Pole. In this impossible place, Bird's diary recounts an encounter with beings unlike any he had known in his extensive travels around the world. Tall figures with luminous eyes that seemed to see into his very soul, carrying themselves with an air of quiet authority that suggested wisdom accumulated over vast spans of time. They welcomed him to what they called a subterranean city, named Agartha, a name that carried echoes of ancient legends and mystical traditions that spanned multiple cultures and civilizations. Agartha, according to the myths and legends that had circulated for centuries in various forms, was a kingdom within the earth, a realm of advanced technology and spiritual wisdom hidden from the surface world like a secret that only the worthy could discover. The beings who called themselves the Old Ones, as described in Bird's alleged diary, spoke of observing humanity for centuries, watching the development of civilization with the patient attention of teachers waiting for their students to mature. They warned Bird of the dangers posed by nuclear weapons, expressing concerns about the reckless path that modern civilizations seemed determined to follow. The atomic bombs that had ended World War II, they suggested, were just the beginning of humanity's flirtation with forces that could destroy not just individual nations, but the entire planet. They spoke of the need for wisdom to guide technological advancement, for spiritual development to keep pace with scientific progress. In their underground city, they showed Bird wonders that challenged everything he thought he knew about technology and science. Gleaming structures powered by energy sources that seemed to draw their power from the Earth itself, vehicles that moved without any visible means of propulsion, and technologies that operated according to principles that human science had not yet discovered. The architecture was beyond anything human hands had built, combining beauty and functionality in ways that seemed almost organic, as if the buildings had grown rather than been constructed. Before sending him back to the surface world, they entrusted him with a message of peace and warning, urging him to share their concerns with the leaders of the surface world. They spoke of the need for humanity to change its course, to develop wisdom alongside knowledge, to consider the consequences of its actions, not just for the immediate future, but for generations yet to come. The message was both hopeful and ominous, suggesting that humanity stood at a crossroads where the choices made in the coming years would determine the fate of the entire species. The diary's account is breathtaking in its scope and implications, but its authenticity remains a matter of fierce debate among researchers, historians, and enthusiasts who have studied every word for clues to its origin and veracity. No official records corroborate Bird's alleged encounter, and many dismiss the document as a fabrication, possibly crafted by creative minds to fuel the growing fascination with UFOs and hidden worlds that characterize the post-war era. The writing style, some critics argue, doesn't match Bird's known literary voice, and the concepts described seem to reflect more modern ideas about extraterrestrial contact and underground civilizations, rather than the kind of experience a 1940s naval officer might report. The timing of the diary's emergence, decades after the alleged events, also raises questions about its authenticity and the motivations of those who brought it to public attention. Yet the story persists and continues to fascinate new generations of researchers and enthusiasts, amplified by Bird's own cryptic words in documented interviews and public statements. In a rare 1947 interview conducted in Chile shortly after his return from Operation High Jump, he spoke of Antarctica's strategic importance in terms that seemed to go beyond simple geographical or political considerations. He warned that the United States could one day face an attack from over the polar regions, using language that seemed oddly specific and troubling to those who heard it. Some interpreted this as a veiled reference to what he had seen during his expedition, an advanced presence, whether human or otherwise, that was capable of challenging the global powers and threatening the established order of the post-war world. Byrd's death in 1957, coming just months after his final Antarctic expedition, only added to the mystique surrounding his experiences and the truth behind Operation High Jump. His passing left his true experiences shrouded in silence, with any secrets he might have carried dying with him, and adding another layer of mystery to an already complex puzzle. The legend of Agartha, which features so prominently in the alleged diary, is not unique to Antarctica or to modern times. Across cultures and centuries, from Tibetan tales of Shambhala, hidden in the mountains, to Mayan and Celtic myths of underworld realms that existed parallel to the surface world, stories of hidden civilizations have persisted with remarkable consistency. These legends speak to something deep in the human psyche, a longing for hidden knowledge and secret realms that exist just beyond the reach of ordinary experience. In the 19th century, European occultists and mystics popularized the idea of a hollow earth, a layered world containing vast inner spaces where entire civilizations could flourish in secret, cities larger than anything on the surface, oceans that had never known the light of day, and technologies that operated according to principles unknown to surface science were all part of this grand vision of hidden worlds. Agartha, in these elaborate tales, represented the greatest of these realms, a sanctuary of ancient knowledge and wisdom, guarded by beings far more advanced than surface humanity, both technologically and spiritually. The connection to Antarctica came with Byrd's alleged diary, which painted the continent as a gateway to the subterranean world, a portal through which the surface world might access wisdom and knowledge that had been hidden for ages. Could such a place actually exist? Modern geology and seismology, with their sophisticated instruments and global monitoring networks, say no with the confidence of sciences based on observable evidence. The Earth's interior, according to all available evidence, consists of layers of rock and molten material, with the core being a sphere of iron and nickel heated to temperatures that would vaporize any known material. Yet Antarctica's vast ice sheets hide much of the continent's surface from direct observation, and recent discoveries of subglacial lakes and ancient landscapes keep alive the possibility of hidden realms in the minds of those who choose to believe. The continent covers an area larger than the United States and Mexico combined, with ice in some places more than 2 miles thick. Vast regions remain unexplored, mapped only by satellite and radar, leaving room for discoveries that could challenge conventional understanding, adding fuel to the speculative fire. Operation High Jump was not without its own documented mysteries and unexplained events. The expedition suffered setbacks that were unusual for such a well-planned and well-funded mission, including the loss of a Martin PBM-5 flying boat called George I, which crashed under circumstances that have never been fully explained, killing 3 crewmen and shaking the confidence of the remaining personnel. Official reports attributed the crash to pilot error or severe weather conditions, explanations that satisfied military bureaucrats, but left questions unanswered for those who understood the skill level of the pilots involved and the careful planning that had gone into every aspect of the mission. But rumors suggested otherwise: mechanical failures caused by unknown forces, or even attacks by unidentified aircraft that moved with impossible speed and silence through the Antarctic skies. Some accounts, though unverified and dismissed by official sources, describe pilots spotting strange objects in the sky during their mapping flights, objects that moved with technologies that seemed to defy the laws of physics as they were understood in 1947. These stories align perfectly with the wave of UFO sightings that swept the world in 1947, just months after High Jump's conclusion, creating a pattern that conspiracy theorists found impossible to ignore. Could Bird's fleet have encountered technology beyond human understanding, whether from a hidden Nazi base, developing advanced aircraft, from an ancient civilization that had somehow survived beneath the ice, or from something even more exotic and otherworldly? The possibility that Operation High Jump had stumbled upon evidence of non-conventional technology became part of the expedition's enduring legend. The UFO connection is not as far-fetched as it might seem when considered in the context of the time and the rapid technological advancement that characterized the immediate post-war period. During World War II, Nazi Germany had invested heavily in experimental technology that pushed the boundaries of what was considered possible. Jet fighters that flew faster than anything the Allies possessed, long-range rockets that could reach targets hundreds of miles away, and propulsion systems that operated on principles that conventional science was only beginning to understand. Post-war rumors spoke of disc-shaped aircraft with names like the Haunebu and the mysterious Die Glocke, or the Bell, a bell-shaped device that was said to glow with an eerie light and manipulate energy in ways that science still couldn't explain decades later. These projects, if they existed, represented a level of technological advancement that seemed almost magical compared to conventional aircraft and weapons systems. After the war ended, Operation Paperclip brought hundreds of German scientists to the United States, their expertise fueling America's space and military programs in ways that would ultimately lead to the moon landing and modern rocket technology. Some theorists speculate that these scientists carried secrets of advanced technology that had been developed in hidden Nazi laboratories, possibly with inspiration or assistance from non-human intelligence. Could Operation High Jump have been a mission to investigate such technology that might have been left behind in Antarctica's icy depths? The continent's isolation and extreme conditions would have made it an ideal location for secret research and development projects that needed to remain hidden from prying eyes. The ice itself would serve as a perfect preservation medium, keeping any abandoned technology in pristine condition for future discovery. The Antarctic landscape itself, as revealed by modern ice-penetrating radar and satellite imagery, adds another layer of intrigue to these theories. Scientists have detected hidden valleys and underground rivers beneath the glaciers, landscapes that were frozen in time millions of years ago and preserved like snapshots of ancient worlds. In 2020, researchers detected anomalies near the Schirmacher Oasis, once part of New Schwabenland, suggesting cavities or structures deep underground that defied easy explanation. While scientists attribute these discoveries to natural geological formations created by the complex interactions of ice, rock, and geothermal activity, the findings keep alive the idea of hidden bases or cities in the minds of those who prefer more exotic explanations. If Agartha exists, or if the Nazis did establish secret bases in Antarctica, the continent's ice sheet would provide the perfect shield, concealing entrances to underground facilities, or even gateways to realms that exist parallel to our known world. As we ponder the truth behind Bird's tale and the real purpose of Operation High Jump, fundamental questions remain unanswered, like riddles waiting for someone clever enough to solve them. Was this massive expedition just a scientific endeavor designed to advance human knowledge and test military capabilities under extreme conditions? Or did it brush against something extraordinary that challenged the very foundations of what we believe about our world and our place in the universe? The official records, stamped with government seals and filed in military archives, tell one story, a story of exploration, scientific advancement, and military preparedness that fits comfortably within the accepted narratives of post-war American expansion and scientific progress. But the whispers of a lost diary, the accounts of unexplained encounters, and the persistent questions about the expedition's abrupt conclusion tell another story entirely. One that ventures into territories where science fiction and reality become indistinguishable. Antarctica, with its vast uncharted interior and its ability to preserve secrets beneath miles of ice, seems to invite such mysteries and resist easy explanations. It's a place where the impossible feels within reach, where the next scientific discovery could reshape our understanding of history, technology, and our place in the cosmos. What else might lie hidden in its frozen embrace, waiting for the right moment or the right explorer to reveal secrets that have been kept for decades or centuries. Our journey now takes us deeper into the maze of Antarctic mysteries, exploring the strange technology that some claim was tied to Nazi experiments and the global wave of UFO sightings that followed Operation High Jump. Were these sightings the result of human ingenuity pushed to its limits, evidence of ancient technologies that had been hidden and preserved, or something from beyond our world entirely? The answers, if they exist, may be locked in ice that has kept its secrets for far too long. The year is 1947, and the world finds itself gripped by a phenomenon that would fundamentally change how humanity viewed the skies above and the possibilities that lay hidden in the darkness between stars. Sightings of strange disc-shaped objects began appearing with increasing frequency, craft that darted through the air with impossible speed and silence that defied every known principle of aviation and physics. These unidentified flying objects, UFOs, ignited imaginations and fears across the globe, from the rural farmlands of America to the edges of the Southern Ocean, creating a new mythology for the modern age. But in the context of Antarctica, these sightings take on a darker, more intriguing hue, intertwined with whispers of Nazi Germany's secret experiments and technologies that seem to operate according to principles that conventional science had not yet discovered. Could the mysteries of the frozen continent be linked to these celestial visitors, evidence of contact with intelligences from beyond our world? Or were they connected to human ambition and engineering that had pushed science to its very limits, creating technologies that seemed magical to those who witnessed them? Tonight, we dive into the chilling connection between UFOs, Nazi technology, and the secrets that Antarctica might still conceal beneath its ancient ice, exploring a web of mystery that connects the darkest chapters of human history with possibilities that extend far beyond our planet. The end of World War II marked a turning point, not just in global politics and the balance of power between nations, but in the collective psychological landscape of humanity itself. As nations struggled to rebuild from the ashes of unprecedented destruction, as survivors tried to comprehend the scale of horror that had been unleashed, reports of strange aerial phenomena began to surface with increasing frequency and consistency. In June 1947, just months after Operation High Jump had concluded its mysterious work in Antarctic waters, commercial pilot Kenneth Arnold spotted 9 crescent-shaped objects flying in formation near Mount Rainier in Washington state. He described their motion as resembling saucers skipping across water, a casual observation that would coin the term flying saucer and launch a phenomenon that continues to this day. Within months of Arnold's sighting, reports poured in from every corner of the world, creating a global wave of UFO encounters that seemed to emerge from nowhere. But Antarctica, with its vast uncharted expanses and its recent history of mysterious military expeditions, became a focal point for some of the most provocative theories attempting to explain these aerial anomalies. The timing was no coincidence that escaped the notice of those who paid attention to such patterns. Operation High Jump had just concluded under circumstances that remained officially unexplained, and rumors of what Admiral Byrd's fleet had encountered were already spreading through military and civilian channels like wildfire in dry grass. Some claimed the expedition had witnessed more than ice and snow during their mapping flights, reporting objects in the sky that moved with a precision and speed that no human aircraft could match, even the most advanced jets that had emerged from the crucible of World War II. These stories found fertile ground in the shadow of Nazi Germany's collapse and the revelations that were slowly emerging about the Third Reich's secret research programs and experimental technologies. During the war, Nazi Germany had demonstrated a scientific ambition and technological innovation that was unmatched by its rivals, pushing the boundaries of what was considered possible with a fervor that bordered on the obsessive. Jet fighters like the Messerschmitt Me 262 had dominated the skies until Allied numbers overwhelmed them. V-2 rockets had breached the edge of space decades before other nations achieved similar feats, and experimental propulsion systems had been tested that hinted at scientific understanding far beyond conventional engineering. But whispers of even stranger and more advanced projects emerged after 1945, fueled by captured documents, defector testimonies, and the accounts of Allied investigators who had been tasked with cataloging Nazi scientific achievements. These stories spoke of research that ventured into realms that mainstream science had barely begun to explore. Experiments that seemed to operate according to principles that defied conventional understanding of physics and engineering. Among the most tantalizing rumors were stories of disc-shaped aircraft that had allegedly been developed in secret Nazi laboratories. Machines with names like the Haunebu that were said to be circular, silent, and capable of maneuvers that would be impossible for conventional aircraft. These craft allegedly used anti-gravity propulsion systems that could lift massive weights without the need for wings or traditional engines. Technologies that seemed to belong more to the realm of science fiction than wartime engineering. Another mysterious project, known as Die Glock, or the Bell, was described by those who claimed knowledge of it as a bell-shaped device that glowed with an eerie light and emitted strange sounds that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. Some witnesses claimed it could manipulate energy in ways that defied known scientific principles, possibly even bending the fabric of space and time itself through mechanisms that human science had not yet discovered. These stories, though lacking the kind of hard documentary evidence that historians and scientists demand, were amplified by the atmosphere of secrecy that surrounded Nazi research and the disturbing revelations that continued to emerge about the scope and ambition of Third Reich scientific programs. Groups like the Tulu Society and the Vril Society, organizations steeped in occult beliefs and Aryan mythology, were said to have influenced these projects with ideas that went far beyond conventional scientific thinking. The Vril Society, in particular, had believed in a mystical energy source called Vril, described as a force that could power advanced machines and unlock hidden potentials of the human mind and spirit. According to fringe accounts that circulated in post-war Europe and America, members of the Vril Society claimed to have made contact with non-human intelligences, beings from other planets or dimensions, who shared knowledge of advanced technology in exchange for purposes that remained mysterious and possibly sinister. Could these groups, operating in the shadows of the Nazi regime, with resources and support that conventional history has difficulty accounting for, have developed aircraft that could explain the UFO sightings that began appearing with such frequency in the late 1940s? And could Antarctica, with its remote isolation and harsh conditions that discouraged casual exploration, have served as the testing ground for such revolutionary machines? The connection between Nazi research and Antarctica deepens when we consider the 1938 to 1939 German expedition to what they claimed as New Schwabenland, a vast territory in Queen Maud Land that they mapped and marked with swastika-bearing darts dropped from aircraft. Officially, this mission was presented as a search for whale oil and other resources that could reduce Germany's reliance on imports. But post-war rumors suggested purposes that went far beyond simple resource acquisition. Some theorists proposed that the expedition had been tasked with establishing a secret base hidden beneath the Antarctic ice, a facility where experimental technologies could be developed far from the prying eyes of rival nations and international observers. The continent's extreme isolation, combined with natural barriers that made approach difficult and detection nearly impossible, would have made it an ideal location for research projects that needed to remain absolutely secret. The mysterious appearance of German submarines, U-530 and U-977, off the coast of Argentina in 1945, appearing months after Germany's official surrender, when such vessels should have been accounted for by Allied forces, added fuel to these speculative fires. Their commanders offered explanations for their prolonged voyages through the South Atlantic that satisfied no one who heard them, leading some to speculate that they had ferried personnel, equipment, or crucial scientific data to hidden Antarctic installations that continued to operate even after the Third Reich's collapse. This idea, though dismissed by mainstream historians who preferred documented evidence to speculation, aligns perfectly with the timing of Operation High Jump and the scale of resources that the United States committed to that expedition. If the Nazis had indeed left behind a technological legacy in Antarctica, whether in the form of hidden bases, abandoned research facilities, or simply cached equipment and documents, the United States might have felt compelled to send its massive fleet to investigate, secure, or neutralize any threats that such legacy might pose. The expedition's abrupt end, coupled with unverified reports of pilots spotting fast-moving objects in the Antarctic skies that behaved unlike any known aircraft, fed theories that High Jump had encountered something extraordinary beneath the ice or in the skies above the continent. The timing of these alleged encounters, just months before the global UFO wave began in earnest, created connections that conspiracy theorists found impossible to ignore. But the story doesn't end with historical speculation and wartime mysteries. In recent years, satellite imagery and remote sensing technology have added new layers to the Antarctic UFO mystery, providing what some interpret as photographic evidence of anomalous objects and structures in regions that remain largely inaccessible to ground-based investigation. In 2023, high-resolution satellite images from the southern Atlantic sector of Antarctica revealed a long, straight trail etched into the ice surface, ending at a massive dark object that appeared to be tilted at an angle that suggested it had come to rest after sliding across the frozen landscape. The trail was remarkably straight and uniform, suggesting movement in a controlled manner rather than the chaotic path that would be expected from a natural object tumbling across rough terrain. Online communities erupted with speculation about what they immediately dubbed a potential UFO crash site, pointing to the object's distinctive shape and the way it stood out against the surrounding ice as evidence that it was not a natural formation. The shape was too regular, too geometric to be explained by normal geological processes, and the trail suggested that whatever had created it had maintained a consistent direction and speed during its passage across the ice. Another satellite image, captured near the same region during the same time period, showed an oval structure that appeared to be half buried in accumulated snow and ice. The object's smooth, curved edges stood out dramatically against the jagged, irregular patterns of the surrounding frozen landscape, creating a contrast that seemed almost deliberate. Some observers likened it to a disc-shaped craft that had been partially exposed by melting glaciers or shifting ice conditions, while others suggested it could be an entrance to an underground facility that had been revealed by changing environmental conditions. These findings, though unconfirmed by ground-based expeditions that would require massive resources and international cooperation, echo earlier discoveries of strange shapes and formations in Antarctic satellite imagery. Over the years, researchers and enthusiasts have identified what they interpret as rectangular doorways carved into cliff faces, grid-like patterns that suggest artificial construction, and even what some have described as an alien face seemingly carved into the ice and snow. Each new image, each apparent anomaly, discovered through remote sensing technology, fuels speculation that the continent hides evidence of technology far beyond current human capabilities. The objects and formations are often dismissed by conventional scientists as natural phenomena, tricks of light and shadow, or the results of pareidolia, the human tendency to see familiar patterns in random shapes. But the accumulation of such sightings continues to intrigue those who believe Antarctica holds secrets beyond current scientific understanding. The Nazi UFO connection gained further credibility through Operation Paperclip, the classified American program that recruited hundreds of German scientists, engineers, and technicians after the war's end. Figures like Wernher von Braun, who had developed a V-2 rocket for Nazi Germany, went on to become key architects of NASA's Apollo program and helped put American astronauts on the moon. The expertise these scientists brought with them transformed American technology and contributed to achievements that would have been impossible without their knowledge and experience. Some theorists argue that these scientists carried more than just conventional rocket technology with them to their new homes in America. They suggest that the German scientific community had made breakthroughs in anti-gravity propulsion, exotic energy sources, or even communication with extraterrestrial intelligences that were carefully hidden from public view and integrated into secret American research programs. The Soviet Union also captured German researchers and scientific documents during the chaotic final months of the war, leading to a Cold War arms race that went far beyond conventional weapons and space technology. If Nazi scientists had indeed developed revolutionary aircraft designs or exotic propulsion systems, both superpowers would have been desperate to acquire and develop such technologies for their own military and strategic purposes. This technological transfer could explain the sudden surge of UFO sightings that began in 1947, suggesting that what witnesses were seeing were not extraterrestrial craft, but the fruits of human ingenuity pushed to its absolute limits. Test flights of experimental aircraft, development programs for revolutionary military technologies, or even the deployment of advanced reconnaissance systems could account for sightings that seem to defy conventional explanation. But the most provocative theories venture beyond human technological achievement and into realms that challenge our understanding of reality itself. Some researchers and theorists claim that the Nazis didn't develop their advanced technologies through conventional scientific research alone, but had received assistance from sources that were decidedly non-human in origin. Stories that emerge from the Vril Society and similar occult organizations speak of contact with extraterrestrial or interdimensional beings who shared knowledge of propulsion systems that operated outside the known laws of physics. These accounts, often dismissed as fantasy by mainstream researchers, describe elaborate rituals and meditative practices designed to establish communication with these entities, possibly conducted in hidden facilities in remote locations like Antarctica. According to these fringe theories, surviving Nazi scientists continued their work in secret after the war's end, perhaps in hidden bases in New Schwabenland that operated under the protection of Antarctica's isolation and international indifference. The idea of an extraterrestrial connection gained popularity in the 1950s and 1960s as books, magazines, and early television programs spread tales of Nazi UFOs and alien alliances, blending documented historical facts with speculative fiction in ways that captivated public imagination. These stories suggested that the disc-shaped craft being sighted around the world were not of human origin at all, but represented technology that had been shared with select human groups by intelligences from other worlds. The precision and capabilities demonstrated by these craft, their ability to make impossible turns, their silent operation, their apparent disregard for the limitations of conventional physics, all pointed to engineering principles that human science had not yet discovered. Skeptics, of course, urge caution and critical thinking when evaluating such extraordinary claims. No physical evidence of Nazi disc-shaped aircraft or alien technology has ever been recovered and verified through conventional scientific analysis. Documents describing projects like the Honnebu or Die Glocke are either missing from historical archives or are considered fabrications by professional historians who have studied the available evidence. The satellite images from Antarctica that seem to show crashed UFOs or hidden structures, while visually intriguing, could be explained through natural phenomena that are well understood by glaciologists and geologists. Glacial movement creates patterns and formations that can appear artificial to the untrained eye. Wind patterns can create straight lines and geometric shapes in snow and ice, and digital imaging artifacts can create false impressions of structure and purpose where none actually exist. The Nazi expedition to Antarctica, according to documented historical evidence, was focused on resource acquisition and territorial claims rather than the establishment of secret bases or the development of exotic technologies. The practical challenges of establishing and maintaining a hidden facility in one of the most hostile environments on Earth would have been enormous, requiring resources and logistics capabilities that Nazi Germany simply didn't possess during the chaotic final years of the war. As for Operation Paperclip, and the transfer of German scientific knowledge to American programs, documented evidence shows that the focus was on conventional rocket technology, jet propulsion, and other innovations that, while advanced for their time, operated according to well-understood scientific principles. There is no verified evidence that the recruited scientists possessed knowledge of anti-gravity systems, exotic energy sources, or communication with extraterrestrial intelligences. Yet the absence of conclusive evidence doesn't entirely quell the curiosity and speculation that surrounds these theories. Antarctica's fundamental inaccessibility, its vast regions that remain unexplored and unmapped at ground level, and its history of strange discoveries and unexplained phenomena, keep these possibilities alive in the minds of those who choose to believe that conventional explanations may not account for all the evidence. The continent's ice sheets, some more than a mile thick, conceal landscapes that have remained untouched for millions of years. Ice-penetrating radar has revealed valleys, rivers, and potential cavities beneath the glacial surface, creating underground spaces that could theoretically hide structures, artifacts, or even active installations. In 2020, scientific instruments detected anomalies near the Schirmacher Oasis, part of the original New Schwabenland territory, that hinted at underground spaces, though researchers attributed these discoveries to natural geological formations rather than artificial construction. These scientific discoveries, combined with the timing and scale of the post-war UFO phenomenon, create a narrative that some find too compelling to dismiss entirely. The idea that advanced technology, whether human, extraterrestrial, or some combination of both, might exist in Antarctica, continues to capture imaginations and drive speculation about what secrets the continent might still be hiding beneath its pristine surface. If such technology does exist, whether as abandoned Nazi experiments, crashed alien spacecraft, or active installations operated by unknown parties, the ice serves as a perfect guardian, revealing only glimpses to those who dare to look, while keeping the full truth locked away from casual observation. The harsh climate, the international treaties that restrict access, and the simple logistics of mounting expeditions to such remote locations ensure that any secrets hidden in Antarctica's depths will remain secure until humanity develops the technology and political will necessary to conduct thorough exploration. As we linger on these tales of flying discs, hidden bases, and technologies that seem to operate outside the known laws of physics, fundamental questions continue to grow in importance and urgency. What else does Antarctica conceal beneath its frozen surface? The UFO mystery, whether rooted in Nazi experiments, extraterrestrial contact, or simply the natural human tendency to seek extraordinary explanations for unusual phenomena, represents just one thread in the continent's complex tapestry of secrets and possibilities. Our journey now takes us to a phenomenon that defies both conventional science and human imagination, a sight that seems to belong more to the realm of horror fiction than natural observation. Blood falls, a crimson cascade that pours from the face of a glacier in the McMurdo Dry Valleys, like an open wound in the earth itself. Is this remarkable sight merely a natural wonder that can be explained through chemistry and geology, or does it hint at something deeper and more mysterious, hidden beneath the Antarctic ice? In the heart of the McMurdo Dry Valleys, one of the driest and most desolate regions on Earth, where the landscape resembles an alien world more than any terrestrial environment, a surreal sight defies the frozen monotony that stretches to every horizon. A vivid scarlet cascade pours from the face of the Taylor Glacier like liquid fire, staining the pristine snow below with what appears to be blood, creating a stark contrast to the endless white that dominates this harsh landscape. Known to scientists and the few hardy explorers who have witnessed it firsthand as blood falls, this 5-story high phenomenon is as haunting as it is beautiful. A vivid wound in the ice that seems to pulse with life in a land where life should be impossible. The sight is so striking, so completely unexpected in this frozen wasteland, that early explorers who first encountered it were convinced they had stumbled upon evidence of some supernatural force at work in the depths of the Antarctic ice. Is this merely a quirk of nature, a chemical oddity locked in the glacier for millions of years, and now revealing itself to human eyes? Or does it hint at something deeper and more mysterious? Perhaps a secret buried beneath the glacier that science has yet to fully unravel. Evidence of processes or presences that operate according to principles we have not yet discovered. Tonight we follow the crimson trail of blood falls into the heart of Antarctic mystery, where the line between natural wonder and unsettling anomaly blurs in the perpetual silence that blankets this most remote corner of our planet. The McMurdo Dry Valleys represent a paradox within Antarctica's already alien landscape, a place where the normal rules of this frozen continent seem suspended or completely abandoned. Unlike the rest of Antarctica, where ice reigns supreme and blankets every surface in pristine white, these valleys are nearly barren of snow, their rocky terrain sculpted by relentless winds into a cold desert that more closely resembles the surface of Mars than any earthly environment. Here in this landscape that seems designed to challenge every assumption about what Antarctica should look like, the Taylor Glacier looms like a frozen river that has been stopped in time. This massive wall of ice, formed over countless millennia from compressed snow and containing the accumulated weight of ages, has stood as a monument to the planet's capacity for both creation and preservation. From its front, where ancient ice meets the strange atmosphere of the dry valleys, Blood Falls emerges, like a revelation that challenges everything we think we know about this frozen realm. A steady flow of red liquid pours from the glacier's face, its color so vivid and unmistakably organic in appearance that it seems to defy the laws of this frozen world. The contrast is jarring, brilliant crimson against pristine white ice, warm color in a landscape defined by cold. The suggestion of life and flow in a place where everything should be frozen solid and lifeless. When Blood Falls was first discovered in 1911 by members of Robert Falcon Scott's ill-fated Terra Nova expedition, explorers who had already witnessed wonders and horrors beyond normal human experience, they were completely baffled by what they encountered. Some even whispered of supernatural forces, wondering if they had discovered evidence of some ancient tragedy preserved in the ice, or perhaps a sign that something extraordinary and possibly dangerous lay hidden within the glacier's depths. The blood-like hue was so striking, so unmistakably suggestive of violence or trauma, that it felt like a wound in the earth itself, a sign that this pristine wilderness contained secrets that were both beautiful and deeply unsettling. Early theories ranged from the practical to the fantastical, with some suggesting that the red coloration came from algae or other microorganisms, while others proposed more exotic explanations involving unknown minerals or even evidence of prehistoric life forms that had somehow survived in the ice. Modern science, however, offers a remarkable explanation that is both more mundane and more extraordinary than early explorers could have imagined. Over 5 million years ago, long before the Taylor Glacier formed and began its slow march across the landscape, this region was submerged beneath an ancient ocean that teemed with life and chemical activity. As geological processes reshaped the continent and the climate grew colder, that sea retreated, leaving behind pockets of highly concentrated saltwater rich with iron and other minerals that had been leached from the surrounding rock over vast periods of time. One such pocket, a subglacial lake of extraordinary antiquity, became trapped beneath what would eventually become 400 meters of solid ice, sealed off completely from light, air, and the outside world. Cut off from any external source of energy or nutrients, isolated in perpetual darkness, and subjected to pressure that would crush most known life forms, this ancient water grew increasingly saline as evaporation concentrated its mineral content to extreme levels. Geological pressure within the glacier forces this iron-rich brine through a natural fissure in the ice. And when this ancient water meets the oxygen in the Antarctic air for the first time in millions of years, the iron oxidizes in a process similar to rusting, turning the liquid a deep, rust-red color that creates the spectacular display known as blood falls. The result is a completely natural process that mimics the appearance of blood flowing from the ice, a chemical reaction that transforms ancient seawater into a vivid reminder of the planet's distant past. But the story of Blood Falls extends far beyond simple chemistry into realms that challenge our understanding of life itself and its ability to survive under the most extreme conditions imaginable. In 2003, scientists analyzing samples of the red water made a discovery that electrified the research community and opened new chapters in our understanding of biology and the possibilities for life in extreme environments. The water teemed with microscopic life forms, extremophile microorganisms that had somehow managed to thrive in complete darkness without oxygen, feeding on iron and sulfur in a way that defied every conventional understanding of what life required to survive. These organisms had been isolated for millions of years, cut off from the surface world and any external source of energy, yet they had not only survived, but had evolved into a self-sustaining ecosystem that operated according to principles unknown to surface biology. This discovery has electrified astrobiologists and researchers studying the possibilities for life beyond Earth, offering crucial clues about how organisms might survive in the harshest environments, not only on our own planet, but potentially on icy moons like Europa or Enceladus, where similar conditions of darkness, pressure, and chemical isolation might exist. The microbes of Blood Falls represent a testament to life's incredible resilience and adaptability, living proof that even in the most inhospitable places imaginable, something can not only endure, but flourish. Yet the eerie appearance of Blood Falls, with its vivid red flow spilling across the pristine ice like a wound that refuses to heal, invites speculation that ventures far beyond the comfortable boundaries of established science. The Crimson Cascade feels almost deliberate in its drama, as if the glacier itself is signaling something important, trying to communicate a message that only the most perceptive observers might understand. In the McMurdo dry valleys, where the silence is broken only by the wind and the occasional crack of shifting ice, strange stories have circulated among the few researchers and support personnel who have spent extended time in this isolated region. Explorers and scientists have reported unsettling experiences that go beyond the normal psychological stress of working in such an extreme environment. Unexplained noises that echo through the valleys with no identifiable source, tools and equipment that vanish only to reappear in locations where they could not possibly have been placed by human hands, and the persistent, uncomfortable feeling of being watched by unseen observers. Some attribute these phenomena to the psychological strain of isolation, the way that months of darkness and desolation can play tricks on the human mind and create experiences that feel completely real, but have no basis in physical reality. The human brain, after all, is not designed to cope with the sensory deprivation and social isolation that characterize life in Antarctica. And it's well documented that extreme environments can produce hallucinations, paranoid thoughts, and other psychological effects. But others see a potential connection to Blood Falls itself, wondering if the crimson flow is more than just a natural anomaly, perhaps a sign or symptom of something larger and more mysterious that lies hidden beneath the glacier. Could the red water be evidence of processes or presences that operate according to principles that current science has not yet discovered or understood? Among the most provocative theories circulating in certain research circles is the idea that Blood Falls represents a byproduct of something artificial hidden deep within the glacier, perhaps a vent from an underground structure, a forgotten base or installation that was abandoned long ago, or even some kind of reactor or power source that continues to operate beneath the ice, leaching iron into the surrounding water as a side effect of processes that we cannot yet comprehend. This idea gains a degree of plausibility from the region's history of mysterious discoveries and unexplained phenomena. In the 1970s, researchers working near the dry valleys found traces of unusual isotopes in the soil and ice, isotopic signatures that hinted at possible artificial activity or processes that could not be easily explained through natural geological or biological mechanisms. While no definitive source for these isotopes was ever confirmed through conventional investigation, their presence raised questions that were never satisfactorily answered. Other researchers have suggested that blood falls might be linked to some kind of secret biological experiment, perhaps conducted by modern governments or research organizations that prefer to work away from public scrutiny, or even by representatives of an ancient civilization that used the isolated subglacial lake to cultivate life forms for purposes that we cannot yet fathom. The lake's complete isolation from the surface world would make it an ideal laboratory for experiments that needed to remain hidden from observation, and the extreme conditions would provide natural containment for any organisms or processes that might pose risks if released into the broader environment. These theories, while lacking the kind of concrete evidence that would satisfy conventional scientific investigation, resonate with the broader mystique that surrounds Antarctica as a place where secrets are buried deep beneath the ice, and where the normal rules of the world seem suspended or altogether absent. The glacier's fundamental inaccessibility only fuels such speculation. Drilling into the subglacial lake would be a monumental undertaking, requiring years of preparation, specialized equipment that barely exists, and the kind of international cooperation that is difficult to achieve for projects that might reveal uncomfortable truths. When Russian scientists finally managed to breach Lake Vostok, another subglacial lake located elsewhere in Antarctica, in 2012, after decades of careful drilling, the water surged upward with such tremendous force that it mixed with drilling fluids and contaminated samples, effectively halting the mission and leaving crucial questions unanswered. Blood Falls, though potentially more accessible than Vostok due to its surface expression, remains similarly difficult to study in depth due to its remote location and the fragile ecosystem it supports. International regulations designed to protect Antarctica's unique environment mean that large-scale exploration of the Blood Falls system is tightly regulated and requires extensive justification and approval processes that can take years to complete. What lies within the hidden lake, what might exist beyond the reach of current sampling techniques, remains largely unknown, leaving ample room for imagination and speculation to fill the gaps in our knowledge. Adding to the intrigue, recent studies have revealed that Blood Falls is not a static phenomenon, but a dynamic system that changes over time in ways that are not entirely predictable. The flow varies with the seasons, sometimes slowing to barely a trickle, sometimes surging with renewed vigor that suggests changes in the pressure or composition of the source water. In 2022, satellite images captured subtle changes in the surrounding ice, revealing faint outlines and patterns that some observers claim resemble buried structures or channels leading from the glacier into unknown territories. These shapes and patterns, though likely natural formations created by the complex interactions of ice, rock, and flowing water, have sparked debate about whether the lake beneath Blood Falls might connect to a larger network of subglacial systems that could potentially hide evidence of past civilizations, abandoned technologies, or even active installations that continue to operate beneath the Antarctic ice sheet. Could there be chambers, artifacts, or technologies preserved in the ice, waiting to be uncovered as climate change causes the glaciers to retreat and reveal landscapes that have been hidden for millions of years? The possibility that Blood Falls might serve as a marker or indicator of something much larger and more significant hidden beneath the surface continues to intrigue those who believe that Antarctica holds secrets that go far beyond what current science has been able to discover. The McMurdo Dry Valleys themselves, with their alien landscape and history of strange occurrences, serve as a perfect backdrop for such speculation. Scattered across this barren terrain are abandoned huts and shelters from early expeditions, their weathered frames standing like monuments to human ambition and endurance, ghostly reminders of the explorers who ventured into this harsh landscape in search of knowledge and discovery. Researchers and support personnel stationed in the modern facilities that serve the valleys have reported eerie occurrences that go beyond the normal stresses of polar work. doors that creak open during windless nights, footsteps that crunch through snow with no visible source, and whispers that seem to be carried on the air, but could not possibly originate from any human throat. These stories, often dismissed as the effects of isolation and environmental stress, take on a darker tone when considered in the context of blood falls and the possibility that the crimson flow might be a warning or a marker of something hidden beneath the valleys. For those who lean toward more supernatural or esoteric explanations, blood falls evokes comparisons to ancient myths and legends of bleeding mountains, cursed lands, or places where the boundary between the natural and supernatural worlds becomes thin and permeable. Some online communities and alternative research groups have even attempted to connect the phenomenon to the legends of Agartha and other hidden realms, suggesting that the subglacial lake might serve as some kind of gateway or connection point to underground civilizations or parallel dimensions. The red waters, according to these more exotic theories, might be a sign of life or power flowing from deeper realms that exist beneath the known world, evidence of connections and interactions that operate outside the framework of conventional physical science. While such ideas stretch far beyond the boundaries of accepted scientific thinking, the visual impact of blood falls and the genuine mysteries that surround its hidden ecosystem ensure that these theories continue to find audiences among those who believe that Antarctica holds secrets that transcend ordinary understanding. As we stand before the scarlet cascade of blood falls, watching the ancient waters pour from the glacier, like blood from a wound that never heals, fundamental questions continue to linger in the thin Antarctic air. Is this remarkable sight merely a marvel of natural chemistry and biology, a testament to life's ability to survive and adapt under the most extreme conditions imaginable? Or could it be something more? A clue to mysteries that extend far beyond the realm of conventional science, evidence of secrets that have been preserved in ice for millions of years. The microbes within the crimson waters hint at life's incredible capacity to endure against all odds, to find ways to survive and even thrive in environments that should be completely hostile to biological processes. But the stories and legends that surround the valleys, the unexplained phenomena reported by those who work in this strange landscape, suggest that there may be more to uncover than just extremophile bacteria and ancient seawater. Our journey now shifts to another hidden world that exists beneath Antarctica's ice, not flowing streams of red water, but vast lakes locked away for millions of years beneath miles of frozen water. These subglacial lakes, with names like Vostok and Mercer, that have become legendary in scientific circles, hold ecosystems as alien as any we might expect to find on distant planets, and perhaps secrets that go far beyond biology and venture into realms that challenge our understanding of what is possible on our own world. What lies hidden in their depths, isolated from the surface world for longer than complex life has existed on Earth? And could these ancient waters connect to the mysteries we've explored, serving as repositories of knowledge, technology, or evidence that could reshape our understanding of our planet's history and our place in the universe? Antarctica's ice sheet, a frozen giant that in some places reaches thicknesses of more than 2 miles, creating pressure that can transform ice into something approaching the density of rock, hides more than just geological features and ancient landscapes beneath its pristine surface. Locked away in perpetual darkness, isolated from the surface world by barriers of ice that have existed for millions of years, lies a network of over 400 subglacial lakes that form a hidden aquatic realm unlike anything else on Earth. These lakes, some as vast as major cities and others small and ephemeral, exist in a state of liquid suspension that defies the extreme cold of their Antarctic environment. Their liquid state is preserved not by sunlight, which has not touched their waters for geological ages, but by the Earth's own geothermal heat radiating upward from the planet's core, combined with the immense pressure created by miles of overlying ice that prevents freezing, despite temperatures that would instantly crystallize surface water. Connected by subterranean rivers that flow in darkness through channels carved in bedrock, these lakes form a vast, interconnected network of liquid highways, a frozen wetland that exists in perpetual night, untouched by human hands, and largely unexplored by human science. This hidden realm represents one of the last great frontiers on our planet, an alien world that exists beneath our feet, challenging our understanding of where life can exist and what forms it might take under the most extreme conditions imaginable. The most famous of these hidden waters, Lake Vostok, stretches an impressive 250 kilometers long and 50 kilometers wide, making it one of the largest lakes on the continent, despite being completely invisible from the surface. Buried beneath the East Antarctic ice sheet, under more than 2 miles of accumulated ice and snow, it represents a time capsule from an era that existed 15 to 25 million years ago, long before humans walked the Earth, before the ice sheets formed their current configuration, and before most of the life forms we recognize today had evolved into their present forms. Sealed off from the atmosphere and the surface biosphere for longer than complex multicellular life has existed in its current forms. Lake Vostok and its sister lakes represent natural laboratories where evolution has proceeded along paths completely separate from surface life, possibly creating ecosystems that operate according to principles unknown to conventional biology. The discovery of these remarkable lakes began in the 1970s, when Soviet scientists, working with primitive radar technology at their remote Vostok research station, detected what appeared to be liquid water signatures beneath the ice. The implications were staggering. Liquid water existing in one of the coldest places on Earth, preserved beneath ice that had accumulated over millions of years, suggesting the existence of environments that could potentially harbor life forms that had evolved in complete isolation from the rest of the planet's biosphere. It wasn't until 1996 that Lake Vostok's full extent was confirmed through more sophisticated remote sensing technology, sparking global fascination and launching one of the most ambitious drilling projects in the history of polar science. The prospect of accessing this ancient water, of sampling life forms that might have evolved in complete isolation for millions of years, captured imaginations and fueled scientific ambitions around the world. Drilling to reach Lake Vostok proved to be a Herculean task that pushed the boundaries of polar engineering and required decades of patient, methodical effort. The ice above the lake was not ordinary frozen water, but a compressed, crystalline mass as hard as steel, requiring specialized equipment and techniques that had never been attempted under such extreme conditions. Each meter of progress downward represented months or years of effort, with drilling operations that could only proceed during the brief Antarctic summer and had to be suspended during the long polar winter when temperatures made surface operations impossible. In 2012, after more than 20 years of drilling through ice that had tested the limits of human engineering capabilities, Russian researchers finally managed to breach the lake's surface. But the mission ended in frustration and disappointment when the ancient water, under tremendous pressure from the overlying ice, surged upward with explosive force, mixing with drilling fluids and contaminating samples in ways that made scientific analysis impossible. Despite this setback, which represented years of lost effort and scientific opportunity, early analyses of the contaminated samples hinted at something extraordinary that justified the enormous investment of time and resources. Preliminary studies revealed traces of microbial DNA in the water, genetic signatures that suggested life forms capable of surviving in conditions once thought to be completely hostile to biological processes. Endless darkness, crushing pressure, near-freezing temperatures, and complete isolation from any external energy source. Lake Vostok is not alone in harboring such extraordinary life. Lake Mercer, located beneath the West Antarctic ice sheet, in a region that experiences different geological and environmental conditions, revealed an even more remarkable ecosystem. When scientists finally managed to access its waters in 2018, using techniques refined from the Vostok experience, The lake, despite existing in complete darkness without any access to solar energy, teemed with bacterial life that had created complex, interdependent communities. These microorganisms had developed survival strategies that defied conventional understanding of how life operates, feeding on minerals leached from surrounding rock through chemical processes that require no sunlight, no atmospheric oxygen, and no connection to surface ecosystems. The bacterial communities formed intricate networks of cooperation and competition, creating ecological relationships that paralleled surface ecosystems while operating according to completely different principles. Even more astonishing is Lake Enigma, a lesser-known body of water that was discovered through satellite-based ice-penetrating radar in 2020. Its name proves fitting when exploratory scans revealed structures on the lake bed that scientists described as microbial mats resembling carpets, but with formations that looked remarkably like tree-like growths or architectural structures rather than simple bacterial colonies. These ecosystems, unlike anything observed elsewhere on Earth or in laboratory conditions, include bacteria that form cooperative and competitive relationships of remarkable complexity. Some species appear to be parasitic, living off the metabolic products of other bacterial communities, while others seem to engage in symbiotic relationships that benefit all participants. This level of biological complexity in such an extreme environment has stunned researchers who had expected, at most, simple single-celled organisms barely clinging to survival. Some scientists have speculated that these lakes could harbor higher life forms, creatures like tardigrades, microscopic worms, or even more complex organisms that have evolved in isolation for millions of years. While no evidence has yet been found to confirm the existence of such creatures, the biological complexity already documented suggests that these hidden ecosystems are far more sophisticated than anyone had dared to imagine. The scientific implications extend far beyond Earth's boundaries. These subglacial lakes offer a glimpse into how life might persist on other worlds, particularly icy moons like Jupiter's Europa and Saturn's Enceladus, where liquid water is believed to exist beneath frozen crusts that bear remarkable similarities to Antarctica's ice sheets. The microbes in Antarctica's hidden lakes are extremophiles that have adapted to conditions that closely mirror what scientists expect to find in extraterrestrial ocean worlds. Their discovery has fundamentally reshaped our understanding of life's boundaries and possibilities, suggesting that even in the most hostile and isolated environments imaginable, something can not only endure, but evolve into complex, thriving ecosystems. The implications for astrobiology and the search for life beyond Earth are profound, providing both hope and concrete examples of how life might survive in environments that were previously considered utterly sterile. But the lake's isolation and fundamental inaccessibility also invite more speculative theories that venture beyond conventional scientific explanation. If life can thrive in these hidden waters, cut off from the surface world for millions of years, could they hide evidence of more than just microbial communities? Some theorists propose that the lakes might serve as natural laboratories that have been utilized by ancient civilizations, or even extraterrestrial visitors who recognize their unique properties and isolation. This idea, while lacking concrete evidence and dismissed by conventional scientists, gains a degree of plausibility from the lake's remarkable properties and the mysteries that surround their formation and preservation. Their isolation makes them perfect repositories for experiments, artifacts, or technologies that would need to remain hidden from surface observation for extended periods of time. The extreme conditions would provide natural preservation for any materials that could survive the environment, while the ice above would serve as an impenetrable barrier, protecting anything hidden within. In 2021, researchers using advanced ice-penetrating radar detected unusual signals beneath the ice near Lake Vostok, faint anomalies that some interpreted as potential artificial structures or cavities that could not be easily explained through natural geological processes. While conventional scientists attributed these discoveries to natural formations created by the complex interactions between ice, rock, and flowing water. Others saw them as possible evidence of something artificial hidden in the depths. The signals had characteristics that seemed too regular, too organized to be entirely natural, suggesting geometric patterns or structural features that resembled artificial construction more than geological accident. Could these be remnants of ancient technology, evidence of experiments conducted by unknown parties, or even installations that continue to operate beneath the ice, hidden from surface detection, but occasionally revealing their presence through subtle electromagnetic emissions? The notion of extraterrestrial involvement isn't entirely new to Antarctic research and speculation. It echoes the tales we've explored of Admiral Byrd's supposed encounter with advanced beings, suggesting that Antarctica's ice could conceal gateways to other realms or evidence of contact with intelligences from beyond our world. The subglacial lakes, with their alien ecosystems and perfect isolation, would represent ideal locations for such contact or experimentation. Some researchers and theorists have linked the lakes to broader myths and legends of hidden civilizations, proposing that they serve as entry points to underground realms, like the legendary Agartha. These theories suggest that the lakes were not formed through natural processes alone, but were engineered or modified by advanced civilizations to serve specific purposes, perhaps as safe harbors for life during catastrophic events, as repositories for knowledge and technology, or as research stations for experiments that required complete isolation from surface interference. Others have speculated that the lakes might have been designed or utilized by ancient human civilizations that possessed knowledge and capabilities far beyond what conventional history attributes to prehistoric peoples. If Antarctica was indeed ice-free during certain periods in the distant past, as geological evidence suggests, advanced societies might have recognized the value of these natural isolation chambers and found ways to utilize them for purposes that we can only guess at. These theories, while unsupported by concrete evidence and rejected by mainstream scientific institutions, are bolstered by the lake's fundamental inaccessibility and the strict limitations that international regulations place on exploration and research. Drilling into these systems is an enormously expensive and technically challenging process that requires years of planning, international cooperation, and environmental oversight. What lies beyond the reach of current drilling technology and sampling capabilities remains a tantalizing unknown that continues to fuel speculation and imagination. Adding to the intrigue, the subglacial lake system is not static, but represents a dynamic network of flowing water that connects different regions of Antarctica through underground channels and rivers. In 2019, scientists studying Lake Mercer discovered that the water levels fluctuate in response to forces that are not entirely understood, suggesting an active hydrological system driven by processes that extend far beyond the boundaries of individual lakes. These movements could potentially reshape the lakes over time, exposing new areas of the lake beds while burying others, possibly revealing artifacts or structures that have been hidden for millennia or concealing evidence just as researchers develop the technology to access it. The dynamic nature of the system means that discoveries made today might be completely inaccessible tomorrow, while new revelations could emerge from areas that have been sealed away for millions of years. Some researchers have speculated that the interconnected lake system might connect to much larger cavities or chambers beneath the Antarctic ice, possibly hiding structures, installations, or natural formations of enormous scale that could reshape our understanding of what exists beneath the continent. In 2023, a comprehensive study of the Lake Enigma region detected faint thermal anomalies that suggested geothermal activity beyond what would be expected from normal geological processes. These thermal signatures could indicate active volcanic or tectonic activity that creates underground spaces large enough to house significant installations or natural formations. While science tends toward explanations involving magma chambers, geothermal vents, or other well-understood geological phenomena, the possibilities for more exotic explanations remain open to those willing to consider them. The McMurdo Dry Valleys, located not far from several of the known subglacial lakes, add another layer of mystery and unease to these hidden aquatic realms. This barren region, home to the blood falls phenomenon we explored earlier, is steeped in stories of unexplained phenomena that go beyond normal environmental stresses, whispers that seem to carry on windless air, tools and equipment that move or disappear without explanation, and electromagnetic readings that pulse through detection equipment in patterns that defy conventional explanation. Some researchers stationed in the valleys have reported strange electromagnetic signatures that appear briefly and then vanish, fleeting pulses that could originate from the subglacial lakes or from sources connected to them through underground networks. Could these signals be evidence of ancient technology that continues to operate beneath the ice, of natural processes that science has not yet understood, or of activities conducted by parties who prefer to remain hidden from surface observation? The idea that the electromagnetic anomalies might be connected to the subglacial lakes through underground systems of flowing water and hidden chambers remains speculative but intriguing to those who believe that Antarctica's mysteries extend far beyond what conventional science has been willing to acknowledge or investigate. For skeptics and conventional scientists, the subglacial lakes represent a triumph of scientific discovery and biological resilience, rather than a playground for conspiracy theories and exotic speculation. The microbes found within these hidden waters are remarkable examples of life's adaptability, but they can be understood and explained through well-established principles of evolutionary biology and extremophile adaptation. The anomalies detected by radar and thermal imaging are most likely natural geological features shaped by millions of years of ice movement, volcanic activity, and the complex interactions between ice, rock, and flowing water that characterize Antarctica's hidden landscape. The underground chambers and thermal signatures can be explained through conventional geological processes without resorting to theories involving ancient civilizations or extraterrestrial involvement. Yet even the most conservative scientists acknowledge that they have only scratched the surface of what these hidden lakes might contain. Less than a dozen of the more than 400 known subglacial lakes have been studied in any detail, and each new investigation reveals surprises that challenge previous assumptions about what is possible in such extreme environments. The discovery of complex microbial mats in Lake Enigma, for example, was completely unexpected and suggested that these ecosystems are far more sophisticated and organized than anyone had predicted. If such complexity can exist in the microscopic world of bacteria and other simple organisms, what other surprises might await discovery in the depths of lakes that remain completely unexplored? As we linger in the silent depths of these subglacial lakes, surrounded by ice that has preserved secrets for millions of years, fundamental questions continue to multiply and deepen. Are these remarkable bodies of water merely natural wonders that demonstrate life's incredible capacity for adaptation and survival? Or do they hold clues to mysteries that extend far beyond the boundaries of conventional biological science? The life forms within these hidden waters challenge our understanding of what is possible on our own planet, but the stories and theories that surround them, tales of hidden structures, ancient experiments, or otherworldly origins, push us to imagine possibilities that extend far beyond the comfortable boundaries of accepted scientific knowledge. Our journey now shifts to the creatures that are said to roam Antarctica's icy waters, beings that blur the line between natural biology and something far more mysterious. The legends of the Ningan and the Kraken speak of encounters with life forms that seem to belong more to mythology than marine biology. Yet sightings continue to be reported by those who venture into the Southern Ocean's dark and forbidding waters. Are these stories mere fantasies born of the ocean's isolation and the psychological stress of working in such extreme environments? Or do they hint at biological realities that science has not yet discovered or acknowledged? Could the same forces that created the alien ecosystems of the subglacial lakes have produced creatures that challenge our understanding of what is possible in Earth's most remote waters? The Southern Ocean, vast and unforgiving in its scope and power, guards Antarctica's shores with waves that crash against towering icebergs and currents that plunge to unseen depths where sunlight has never penetrated, and pressure reaches levels that would crush conventional life forms. In these shadowed seas, where the water itself seems to hold secrets, and the horizon stretches endlessly toward mysteries that may never be fully understood, stories have emerged of strange creatures that defy both science and rational explanation. Among these tales are accounts of beings that challenge every assumption we hold about marine life and the possibilities for evolution in Earth's most extreme environments. The Ningan, described as a massive humanoid figure that glides beneath the waves with intelligence and purpose, and the Kraken, a legendary sea monster whose presence has been felt but never conclusively proven, represent encounters with the unknown that haunt the imaginations of those who sail these perilous waters. Are these creatures merely products of the ocean's isolation, phantoms born from the minds of weary sailors and researchers who have spent too long in environments that challenge human psychology and perception? Or do they hint at something real and extraordinary lurking in the depths of Antarctica's waters? Evidence of life forms that have evolved in secret, hidden from human observation in the vast expanses of the Southern Ocean. Tonight we sail into the chilling legends of the Ningan and the Kraken, where the line between folklore and reality blurs in the icy mist that rises from waters that may harbor secrets as deep as the ocean itself. The Ningan first emerged from the digital shadows of the early 2000s, its story spreading through Japanese online forums before capturing global attention and spawning countless discussions among those fascinated by cryptozoology and unexplained phenomena. Described by those who claim to have encountered it as a colossal creature of pale white coloration, the Ningan is said to measure up to 30 meters in length, making it larger than most known whales, and giving it a presence that dominates any waters it inhabits. What sets this creature apart from any known marine life is its distinctly humanoid form, a characteristic that separates it from every documented species and places it in a category that seems to bridge the gap between human and aquatic life. Witnesses, often crew members of research vessels, who spend months in Antarctic waters conducting scientific studies or logistical operations, claim to have seen it rising silently from the depths, its smooth, ghostly body shimmering against the icebergs that dot the Southern Ocean like monuments to geological time. The descriptions of the Ningan's appearance vary among different accounts, but certain characteristics appear consistently across multiple sightings, suggesting either a real creature or a remarkably persistent shared delusion. Some witnesses describe it as having a human-like face with small, dark eyes that seem to hold intelligence and awareness, and a wide, expressionless mouth that creates an unsettling impression of consciousness behind an alien visage. Other accounts give the creature a more aquatic appearance, describing fin-like appendages that could serve as arms or legs, and a sleek, eel-like tail that blends seamlessly with the floating ice and churning water of the Antarctic seas. Despite these variations in specific details, all descriptions emphasize the creature's graceful, almost ethereal movements as it slips beneath the waves, disappearing before anyone can capture clear photographic evidence or conduct scientific observation. The Ningan's movements, according to those who have reported encounters, are eerily deliberate and purposeful, suggesting a level of intelligence that goes far beyond simple animal behavior, rather than the random, instinct-driven actions of conventional marine life. Witnesses describe interactions that seem almost curious, as if the creature is observing human activities with the same interest that humans show toward it. These sightings, though rare and unverified by scientific institutions, are concentrated around Antarctica's coastal regions, particularly near the Ross Sea and the Weddell Sea, areas where research vessels and supply ships regularly travel, but where the vast expanses of ocean provide ample space for large creatures to remain hidden from regular observation. The remoteness of these waters, combined with the harsh conditions that limit human presence and the technological challenges of maintaining surveillance equipment in such extreme environments, create perfect conditions for encounters that can neither be easily documented nor definitively dismissed. Japanese whalers and research teams have reported some of the most detailed sightings, often occurring during the twilight hours of dawn or dusk, when the Antarctic light plays tricks on perception and the boundary between reality and imagination becomes blurred. One particularly striking account from 2008 describes a research vessel crew spotting a pale shape moving alongside their ship, matching its speed with apparent ease, before vanishing into the depths, leaving only ripples in the dark water to mark its passage. The crew members swore that the creature had what appeared to be arms and hands, appendages that seemed to reach out toward the vessel, as if attempting some form of contact or communication. The implications of such an encounter, if true, would be staggering, suggesting not just an unknown species, but one possessed of intelligence and curiosity about human activities. Another compelling report from a 2010 expedition claimed that the Ningan surfaced near a large iceberg, its face briefly visible above the water, before it dove back into the depths, leaving only the memory of an encounter that challenged everything the witnesses thought they knew about Antarctic marine life. The crew described a sense of being observed, of intelligence behind eyes that seemed far too human to belong to any known marine species. These stories, shared in hushed tones among the small community of people who work in Antarctic waters, paint the Ningan as both majestic and deeply unsettling, a being that seems to watch human activities with the same fascination that humans direct toward the mysterious world beneath the waves. The creature appears to be neither hostile nor particularly friendly, but rather curious, as if conducting its own observations of the strange surface dwellers who have begun to venture into its domain. The Kraken, by contrast, represents a legend far older than the internet age, rooted in Norse mythology and the seafaring traditions of cultures that have always known that the ocean holds terrors and wonders beyond human comprehension. Traditionally depicted as a gigantic cephalopod, capable of dragging entire ships to their doom with tentacles longer than most vessels, the Kraken has long been dismissed by modern science as a sailor's tale, a mythological explanation for encounters with large but conventional squid species. Yet in 2016, Antarctica once again provided a modern twist to an ancient legend when a satellite image captured near Deception Island, a volcanic caldera in the South Shetland Islands, reignited global interest in the possibility that the Kraken might be more than mere mythology. The satellite image showed a long dark shadow in the water, stretching over 100 meters in length, with a shape that many observers found remarkably similar to descriptions of a massive squid or octopus. The shadow was not simply dark water or a trick of lighting, but appeared to have structure and form, with curved lines that resembled tentacles and a body mass that suggested an organism of truly gigantic proportions. Scientists examining the image officially identified it as a sea stack, a natural rock formation rising from the ocean floor, but the resemblance to a living creature was so striking that it sparked waves of speculation and discussion across online communities and cryptozoology forums. The image captured imaginations, partly because the proportions and positioning of the shadow seemed too organic, too deliberately arranged to be easily dismissed as geological coincidence. The apparent tentacles curved in ways that suggested movement rather than the random arrangement of rock formations. And the overall impression was of a creature that had been captured by satellite technology in a moment of rest or feeding near the surface. Adding credibility to theories about giant cephalopods in Antarctic waters, the Southern Ocean is indeed home to the colossal squid, a real creature that represents one of the largest invertebrates known to science. These remarkable animals can grow up to 14 meters in length and possess eyes the size of dinner plates, adaptations that allow them to hunt in the perpetual darkness of the deep ocean where they make their homes. Colossal squid are rarely seen alive due to their deep water habitat and elusive nature, but their existence proves that the Southern Ocean can support cephalopods of truly impressive size. In 2007, a New Zealand fishing vessel managed to haul up a colossal squid from Antarctic waters, its massive tentacles and razor-sharp beak providing a dramatic reminder of the powerful predators that lurk in the ocean's depths. Could sightings attributed to the legendary Kraken actually be glimpses of colossal squid or other large cephalopods that have grown to exceptional size in the nutrient-rich but largely unexplored waters around Antarctica? Or does the Antarctic Kraken represent something even larger and more extraordinary? A creature that dwarfs even the colossal squid and challenges our understanding of what is biologically possible in marine environments. The idea of unknown creatures in Antarctica's waters gains plausibility when we consider how little we actually know about the Southern Ocean's deep water ecosystems. The Southern Ocean represents one of the least explored marine environments on Earth, with depths that plunge to over 7,000 meters in places and vast areas where the seafloor has never been mapped in detail. Less than 5% of the Southern Ocean's seafloor has been surveyed with the kind of precision that would reveal large creatures or unusual geological formations. Recent marine biological discoveries in Antarctic waters have consistently revealed ecosystems far more diverse and complex than scientists had predicted. Expeditions to previously unexplored regions have found thriving communities of life living beneath Antarctica's ice shelves. Fish, crustaceans, sea spiders, and other creatures living in complete darkness, sustained by nutrients carried on deep ocean currents that connect Antarctic waters to the global marine ecosystem. In 2021, a drilling mission through the Filchner-Ronne ice shelf uncovered a boulder covered in sponges and unknown filter-feeding organisms located 260 kilometers from the nearest sunlight. This discovery of complex life forms in what was thought to be a sterile environment suggests that Antarctic marine ecosystems are far more extensive and diverse than previously understood, raising the possibility that much larger and more unusual creatures could exist in the vast, unexplored regions of the Southern Ocean. But the stories of the Ningan and Kraken venture beyond conventional marine biology into realms that challenge our understanding of evolution and the possibilities for intelligent life in marine environments. Some theorists propose that the Ningan represents not just an unknown species, but a survivor from Antarctica's ancient past, perhaps a remnant of ecosystems that existed when the continent was ice-free and supported complex life forms that have since adapted to the extreme conditions of the modern Antarctic environment. This theory gains some support from geological evidence that Antarctica was indeed a temperate, forested continent in the distant past, with climates that could have supported diverse ecosystems, including large marine life forms. If some creatures managed to survive the gradual transition to the current Ice Age conditions, they might have evolved in isolation to become the extraordinary beings described in Ningan encounters. Others speculate that the Ningan might represent something even more extraordinary, an intelligent marine species that has developed consciousness and awareness comparable to human intelligence, but has remained hidden from surface observation through choice rather than chance. The creature's apparently deliberate movements and seeming curiosity about human activities could indicate a level of cognitive development that would make it not just an unknown animal, but a fellow intelligent species sharing our planet. Online communities and alternative research groups have speculated that governments and research institutions might know more about the Ningan than they publicly acknowledge, perhaps protecting its existence due to its scientific significance, or the international complications that would arise from confirming the existence of an intelligent marine species in Antarctic waters. Such a discovery would have profound implications for marine protection laws, territorial claims, and our understanding of consciousness and intelligence in non-human species. And here, in the depths of these frozen oceans, we find the darkest face of truth, the Ningan, the Kraken. These weren't just legends. The creature's humanoid appearance adds another layer of mystery and speculation, evoking comparisons to ancient myths of sea gods, merfolk, and other beings that bridge the gap between human and marine life. Some theorists have suggested connections to the legends of advanced civilizations that might have existed in Antarctica during its ice-free periods, proposing that the Ningan could be a descendant or survivor of such cultures, adapted to life in the post-Ice Age ocean environment. The Kraken legend has also been connected to Antarctica's more exotic mysteries through theories that link its modern sightings to the Nazi expeditions of the 1930s. Some fringe researchers have suggested that the Germans might have encountered or even attempted to manipulate marine life during their New Schwabenland mission, possibly conducting genetic experiments or trying to weaponize large marine creatures for military purposes. If you want to follow these forbidden investigations, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because next week I'll tell you what the Nazis really encountered and why this information has been kept secret. The 2016 satellite image near Deception Island has kept alive the possibility that the Kraken represents more than just natural marine life. Could it be a biological anomaly created through human intervention, a creature that has grown to extraordinary size through artificial means, or a guardian of secrets hidden in the deep waters around Antarctica? Antarctica's fundamental isolation and the extreme conditions that characterize its marine environment amplify these legends and make extraordinary explanations seem plausible. The Southern Ocean's treacherous conditions, freezing temperatures that can kill exposed humans in minutes, massive waves that can overwhelm even large vessels, and icebergs the size of cities that drift with their own weather systems. Are these revelations surprising you too? Show your support by hitting the like button and share in the comments which creature you think could be real. Maybe the truth is this: these creatures aren't just legends, they're still there, beneath the ice, waiting. And maybe they're watching us. Stay on our channel, because in the next video, we'll uncover the secret documents of Nazi experiments and the real reasons behind modern discoveries. Believe me, those stories are far more terrifying than what I've told you today. Remember, sometimes it's safer not to know. But you've already watched this video to the end. It's too late now. See you next time, if the depths allow it. Imagine yourself soaring above the endless white expanse of Antarctica in a helicopter, the rhythmic thrum of rotor blades, the only sound breaking the profound silence that blankets this continent. Below you, the ice glitters under a pale, fleeting sun that hangs low on the horizon like a dying ember, casting long shadows that stretch across the frozen landscape like fingers pointing toward hidden secrets. Jagged peaks pierce the frozen silence, their dark stone surfaces exposed like broken teeth in the jaw of some primordial beast. In the heart of the Ellsworth Mountains, a sight stops you cold, a sight that sends a chill down your spine that has nothing to do with the Antarctic air. A towering structure rises before you, its four sharp faces converging to a pointed summit with geometric precision that seems almost impossibly perfect. It rises from the ice like a monument from another world, its massive bulk casting a shadow that seems to contain depths within depths. This is no ordinary mountain. It's a pyramid eerily similar to the ancient wonders of Giza, yet standing in the most unlikely place on Earth, surrounded by millions of square miles of nothing but ice and mystery. Discovered in 2016 through satellite imagery that revealed its perfect geometry from space, this formation has ignited a firestorm of questions that burn in the minds of researchers and theorists alike. Is it merely a trick of nature, sculpted by eons of wind and frost into this remarkable shape? Or could it be something far more extraordinary? A relic of a forgotten civilization, buried beneath the ice for millennia, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself to human eyes. Welcome to the mystery of the Antarctic Pyramid, a puzzle that challenges everything we believe about this frozen continent. A riddle wrapped in ice and shrouded in the kind of silence that seems to hold secrets just beyond the edge of hearing. The Ellsworth Mountains, a remote and rugged range in West Antarctica, stretch across a landscape few humans have ever seen, let alone explored. This is a realm where the horizon seems to curve away into infinity, where the sky meets the ice in a seamless blend of white and pale blue that can drive the unprepared mind to madness. The mountains rise like ancient sentinels from the ice, their peaks shrouded in clouds that seem to hold their own mysteries, formations that shift and swirl in patterns that sometimes appear almost deliberate. near the Patriot Hills Research Base, itself a lonely outpost in this vast wilderness. This particular peak stands 4,150 feet tall, its stark silhouette cutting through the snow like a blade. When satellite images first revealed its true nature, beaming the data back to Earth from the cold void of space, the internet erupted with speculation that ranged from the scientific to the fantastical. From above, captured in the digital eye of orbiting technology, its four triangular faces and sharp apex mirror the geometry of Egypt's Great Pyramid, a structure built with such precision that it still baffles engineers today, its mathematical relationships speaking to knowledge that seems almost supernatural in its sophistication. The Antarctic pyramid's symmetry is uncanny. Each face appears almost too perfect, too deliberate to be the work of natural forces alone. The edges are sharp and clean, cutting through the ice with the kind of precision that architects dream of achieving. Yet geologists, trained in the slow patience of earthly processes, are quick to offer an explanation rooted in conventional science, grounded in the observable laws of physics and chemistry that govern our world. They call this formation a nunatak, a rocky peak that juts above the ice sheet, like an island in a frozen sea, exposed to the relentless elements of Antarctica's brutal climate. Over millions of years, they say, fierce winds howling across the continent at speeds that can strip flesh from bone, freezing temperatures that plunge to depths unimaginable in the inhabited world, and cycles of thawing and refreezing have carved the stone into this striking shape, each day and season adding another tiny adjustment to its form. This process, known as freeze-thaw weathering, is indeed not unique to Antarctica. In other cold regions like the Swiss Alps, where tourists marvel at the dramatic landscape, similar forces have sculpted peaks, like the Matterhorn, into dramatic angular forms that inspire awe and wonder. The Antarctic Pyramid, geologists argue with the confidence of those who have dedicated their lives to understanding the patient work of stone and time, is simply a product of nature's artistry, its sharp edges, the result of millions of years of erosion, rather than human hands guided by intelligence and purpose. They point out, with the measured tones of scientific reasoning, that other nunataks across the continent bear similar features, their exposed surfaces, worn smooth by the elements, shaped by the same forces that created this remarkable formation. The wind patterns, the temperature fluctuations, the chemical processes that slowly break down rock over geological time, all of these work together in a grand symphony of natural forces that can create wonders that rival anything human hands might build. But here's where the story takes a turn into deeper mystery, where the comfortable explanations of conventional science begin to show their cracks. Most nunataks have one or two flat faces at most, products of the random chances of geological formation and the chaotic forces of weather. This formation boasts four distinct faces, each aligned with a precision that feels almost architectural, as if some great builder had taken measurements and calculated angles with the kind of mathematical understanding that we associate with advanced civilizations. Its near-perfect geometry sets it apart from every other natural formation in the region, raising a question that science struggles to dismiss with its usual confident assertions. Could nature alone, working through the blind forces of chemistry and physics, create something so deliberate, so purposeful in its design? The probability calculations become staggering when you consider the odds of random processes creating such geometric perfection. For those who look beyond the textbook explanations, who dare to consider possibilities that lie outside the comfortable boundaries of conventional thinking, the pyramid's existence sparks theories that venture into realms where imagination and speculation dance with observed fact. Some researchers, and a growing number of independent theorists who refuse to be bound by the limitations of accepted dogma, suggest this is no mere mountain shaped by wind and weather. Could it be a remnant of a civilization that once thrived in Antarctica before the ice claimed the continent, burying their achievements beneath millions of tons of frozen water? The idea seems far-fetched to minds trained in the slow, cautious progress of academic thinking, but it gains traction when you consider the pyramids found across the globe, scattered like pieces of some vast puzzle waiting to be assembled. In Egypt, where the desert sands have preserved monuments for millennia, in Mexico where jungle vines have embraced ancient stones, and in Peru where mountain peaks touch the sky. These structures share common traits that seem to whisper of shared knowledge: wide bases that speak to engineering understanding, sloping sides that demonstrate mathematical precision, and often in alignment with cardinal directions or celestial events that suggests knowledge of astronomy that rivals our modern understanding.